All right, click.
Maybe the Blue Code Live button is sexist. Maybe it just likes me and Genevieve better. We've never had to test this theory with Scott because of his incomprehensible inability to use the
Yeah,
It's true.
he can teach hacking, but actually
internet.
using
I honestly don't
pre-programmed
know.
applications is beyond him.
I know. It actually makes sense.
And we're live. Today is Tuesday, August 24th, 2021. It is 5:01 p.m. and it's just us.
It is
Yeah.
our 499th episode, if we've counted right so far, which God knows,
Which we definitely haven't.
which we almost certainly have not. And
Yeah.
Kate and Genevieve are in New York, and I am
show
in the
us.
Badlands in South
Yeah.
Dakota.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty excellent. They're badass, and I hiked 10 miles through them today.
That sounds
Timothy Scott says it's 496, which
Whoa,
is
is
probably
that true?
Well, I suspect that we have misnumbered a few episodes here and there, and so I wouldn't be
we
surprised
got
if we
off
were
to a
off by
really
a
weird
few.
start with those Danielle episodes. Remember, Ben? Because then we had to do them twice, and we stopped one halfway through because it didn't work.
Yeah, believe me, I remember.
Yes. So
So maybe we should have the official renumbering where we go through and correct the numbering on all the episodes so that we get to 500 on our actual 500th
but
episode.
wait, I'm really confused because the in lieu of fun GitHub does have us being at 498, but is that because it reflects the erroneous numbering of the
I really have no
anyways,
idea.
whatever.
I just think if it's nobody's job to do it, the likelihood that it's done right is, decreases marginally every episode. It's had 500 or 496 opportunities to inject error, and I'd be surprised if there were no errors in it.
I kind of love and it's also all human error, which is even better. It's all
Well,
our fault.
No automation.
I declare, it almost much like Pope Gregory redid the calendar. I declare that that this is our next episode will be our 500th episode, as observed, if not in fact.
Okay, so that being said, when is that going to be? Because we are going to be taking a break for the rest of the week. Scott is delivering his son to college, which is really cute. And Ben is coming back from the Badlands.
He's hiking back.
I'm hiking back, yeah.
You're hiking, he's walking.
I'm actually driving a lot of the way.
Not the train?
Well, there is no train
No
from
kidding.
the Badlands.
Not like a real hotbed of
You
need to,
cannot get an Amtrak from here. You got to go
what
to
a
North
failure of
Dakota.
infrastructure.
You got to go
Right.
to North Dakota to get an Amtrak. And besides, I have to be in Cincinnati on Friday for a wedding, so I am going to drive from here to Cincinnati and then pick up the Amtrak from Cincinnati home.
We were discussing the Wheel of Cheese being true, but wasn't there also an episode of The West Wing, Genevieve, that was about North Dakota trying to rename itself just
Yes.
Dakota?
Yes, because they
it
thought
was like a poor branding, kind of like Greenland and Iceland. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So I mean,
And
this
poor
is
Donna goes.
but they have like a poor Donna goes to Dakota. Yeah. So this is interesting because North Dakota has, but what you don't hear in that story is that North Dakota has the only functioning Amtrak. I would think that would be a great selling point for North Dakota.
It would.
Well, there may be Amtrak lines somewhere else in South Dakota,
But just not through
but
the Badlands.
but not through the Badlands. And I wanted to see the Badlands, and I wanted to see some of the Lakota territories. That's with an L. And so I rented a car in Minneapolis and just drove here.
It's awesome.
And listened to In Lieu of Fun yesterday intermittently as I drifted in and out of.
We had a really nice time.
I heard about 2/5 of it. Whenever the signal would come in, I would get a little bit of it, and so I heard Annette Gordon-Reed talking about life as in law firms and transition
cool.
to writing about history. It was a great. I will listen to the other 3/5. But I have not yet.
I was more nervous. Like, we've done almost 500 episodes, and I don't really get nervous anymore. And I was very nervous for that episode, and Scott was nervous, and we both knew that the other was nervous, and so it was kind of and we didn't have a plan, which is always the plan. But it's a little bit more it's a little scarier when the stakes are higher. So, but it worked out well.
Well, I also listened to an audio book that I recommend was by a guest who I really want to have on In Lieu of Fun. Have any of you seen Derek DelGaudio's show In and of Itself?
No.
So he is an incredible, I wouldn't say magician, because that gives the wrong flavor of what he does. He's a sleight of hand artist, and he is a former card cheat, not somebody who is a gambler himself who cheats, but
he has a Hulu movie about him.
Yes, called In and of Itself, which is a
link to it in the thing. Sorry,
a monologue that he did. That monologue is incredible.
Really?
Yes, mind-blowingly interesting.
Cool.
And I liked it so much that I just read his book, which is called A Moral Man, and it is very interesting. It's about how you grow up to be a basically dealer, somebody who hires himself out to cheat deal on behalf of corrupt gamblers. It's a pretty interesting story.
Cool. That sounds awesome. Have you ever, sorry, this is a slight tangent, but I really want to watch that now, and I'm going to watch it and then I'm going to read the book. But also, Ben, if you like that, you will love the Ricky Jay documentary. Have you ever watched that?
No, I've never heard of it. What is it?
Ricky Jay was just probably hold on, I'll find the documentary. Ricky Jay was a incredible magician that was kind of classically trained from the age of 5. He started doing magic tricks and just devoted his entire life to it and developed these routines over time, and he kind of was, when he died, kind of considered the last great magician. Sorry, John is sending me the link. He was absolutely incredible, and his hi, David. And the documentary about him is a piece of art. It really is very, very, very well done. He's incredible. So yeah, I would highly recommend that if you are into this magic world right now.
Well, I mean, I have gone through phases of interest in magic, and will certainly check that out. This was. I was recommended this by David Plotz, not because of any particular interest in magic, just because it's an incredible monologue, and I'm really interested in monologues in the sort of Spalding Gray style. And he,
But he
I
also, Ricky Jay also had great monologues. Like he,
no,
he
no, no.
was
I'm
just,
totally,
yeah, it was
totally,
awesome.
totally into. So where is the what is the Ricky Jay uh, movie called?
It's called Deceptive Practice: The Mystery and Mentors of Ricky Jay, and it was done in 2012, before he died in 2018. And it is just kind of like a beautiful kind of homage to his craft. And like, actually, he talks really openly about trying to like stay away from the allure of becoming a con man or an amoral man, and like trying to avoid like the life of like turning tricks like to make money and doing and like cheating and gambling, and kind of how he kind of, but also being like the art of magic is dying, and so like how he like stays true to the art of magic, and while like not doing like these other things. So I don't know, I think it's wonderful. So I'd only mention it because it is just truly excellent. And now I'm you mentioning this book makes me really excited, because I loved the moral dilemma of
Interesting.
Ricky
This
Jay's.
this book is all about the moral dilemma and of a person who does not like to lie, um, uh, becoming entranced with a career that is based on entirely on deception, and the role of secrecy in his life, and how it um, morphs into various different things at different times in his life.
Yeah, very cool.
I'm going
So
to be watching both of these and
I
more.
know. I know. Now I'm like really happy that I have a plan for tonight. But we have to resolve the very clear issue of what to do with the 500th episode. We are not going to
So,
have anything from now until Friday.
right. So just to make that very clear to everybody, we are off Wednesday, off Thursday, off Friday, off Saturday, off Sunday, back on Monday with our 500th episode as observed.
And yeah, perfect. And we would love suggestions on how we should celebrate. Um, I still have a paper mache unicorn pinata that I got for, what was it, like our 300 our 1 year anniversary, Ben. That I keep meaning, like I'm holding on to just so I can give it to Maggie Feldman Pilch, because she should obviously possess this unicorn. Um, and yeah. But besides unicorns, I'm curious I feel like we've lost some of like the jokes as time has gone on. Like the Lisa Page puppet hasn't been out in so long.
Boris Johnson news.
Boris Johnson.
We haven't had
news.
murder hornets on the show.
Okay, so someone make a list.
I'm writing it down.
I'm just gonna get
Boris Johnson, murder
I'm gonna
hornet.
get some like piece of paper, and it's supposed
Lisa
to
Page puppet.
Lisa Page puppet. There was like the anchovy shark.
Oh, the saber-tooth anchovies.
Yeah.
I think I may
Saber-tooth.
have to bring a
Remember
saber-tooth
when I gave it?
anchovy on the
Remember
show.
when I turned the entire show? Remember when I made us a Seder, Ben, a Seder plate or something? Wasn't it?
I do, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember.
And
That was excellent.
You had to eat all this weird stuff. You were like, that was the weirdest thing of groceries that's ever been dropped off at my house. And you're
Yeah,
like,
there
why are there oysters? I'm like, oh, those were just for you to like have. Those are just for fun. Like, we're not gonna...
Also, the song.
Oh my god, the song. Oh my gosh.
We need to have
a performance.
Or at least a playing of it. Lisa points out that lamb prosciutto really should show up.
That got thrown away, but we can
Whoa.
bring in. I know. It was
You
pretty.
threw out the lamb prosciutto?
I mean, I carved off some of it, but then like I ate it, and then like it was like, okay, this is maybe like desiccated to the point of like not being delicious.
I thought it was supposed to get better with age.
I mean, if I had properly cared for it, I think. Like, it's just...
The abandoned lamb prosciutto.
Yeah, I kind of, like, brought it back from Cape Cod and stuck it in my fridge without being covered, and it just dried out, kind of, like, too much.
As to the firing of baby cannon, I don't think that can easily happen, because being an observant person of DC law, I do not store black powder in Washington, D.C. I store it only at the cabin in the woods, and I'm not going to be at the cabin.
Yeah.
And I would never fire baby cannon in Washington, D.C. anymore. Never. I would never do that these days.
Baby cannon, baby prosecco. Okay. We have baby
cormorant?
chipmunk, the cormorant, like the animals, I guess. Like, I can try to rustle up an animal.
Can you wrestle up a cormorant or a large turtle?
No.
Photos?
Like,
We could do
definitely
photos?
not. We could revisit them. I mean, like, there have been many. It's not just the rescue. I mean, there were just so many animals, but very few of them made their way onto the show because
the cormorant did.
Was the cormorant on? No, it wasn't.
I think it was.
The photo of you carrying it was pretty funny.
And it biting you.
Yeah. There was. I did have. I think there was the baby chipmunk was on the show, and the baby turtle was on the show, the baby diamondback terrapin. But the bigger sea turtle was not on because it got picked up too fast. And then, and Nina has been on many times, as David Botts points out.
Lisa also points out that the moment in which Scott broke the internet on the show.
Scott breaks the internet.
I was going to ask if all of this is going to be in a PowerPoint.
Pugilism Week. Yeah, maybe we should put it in a PowerPoint. That is correct. I've circled that as like a... It's also better because, frankly, Crowdcast is not awesome for sharing media. And it's annoying.
That's true.
Shaving the eyebrow, shaving all the things. David Botts cutting his beard with
shaving is actually does not quite do justice with
shearing.
I know, shearing.
I will do formally the eyebrow shave on the 500th episode.
Do you know this is probably the longest that I've ever had my hair in my life, and I think I'm just gonna keep it going. My last haircut was February 2020, and I think I'm just gonna keep it going until then.
You know, I think one thing we should do is create a flip book. Chair. Create a flip book of Kate's hair growing over the course of the show.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because Kate hair was like my length when the show started.
It was. It's like crazy. There's Daniel's chair though. Definitely goes in. Tim Miller cut his hair and cheated. No hair flip book. Was there... Oh yeah, we did the really terrible Munch week.
Wait, I want to defend Munch week because I learned something awesome on Munch week, which was how to make Genevieve's grandma's
those are really good.
Roasted red peppers, and I have done it several times since then, including texting Genevieve in the middle of the night for advice. I will do not repent. And I bet you if you put a poll up and asked people whether they wanted another Munch week, it would do reasonably well in that poll. I'm not sure it would prevail, but it would not embarrass itself.
Munch week came in during a period of time in which I was not at my own home, And so like everyone in my house was very annoyed that like for 2 out of 5 like days in the week I was doing I was taking over the entire kitchen. So that was like just a little like it was like a little kind of it was a little difficult. Oh wait. Oh yeah, trolley problems.
Christopher Argyris is raising his voice in opposition to Munch 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 Week. And I just want to say, Christopher, next time we have Munch 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 Week, you are going to cook something on the show.
Yeah, Christopher. We didn't have Christopher, like, the In Lieu of Fun community, like saves Christopher Argyris's life. Like, we've never even talked about it kind of publicly. So, like, we could, like,
I think that's not our story to tell.
It's not our story to tell, but it's like, but we could, yeah.
If we ever had to do a sip, sip, sip week, we could all make cocktails.
Ooh, that's a good idea. Can I just also say that if we ever do Munch 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 Week again, we got to get Alan Rosenstein to cook on the show, because that boy has many talents, you know, but none of them is more awesome than his cooking skills. He is actually a remarkable cook, and we should have him on the show to teach certain cooking techniques, because it is awesome. I just stayed in his house for a couple days, and I'm very grateful for his cooking.
Oh, that reminds me of that he and Hannah at one point collectively applauded my cowlick.
That's true. In fact, I think they may have chanted it.
Cowlick.
Exactly.
Cowlick,
yeah, that was a good moment.
Oh boy. Let's see. Wait, David Botts, why do you keep saying I am not a cat over and over again? Was that like a thing? Did I miss that? Did I forget that?
Is that the lawyer?
Oh, the Three Wise Men episode was good. That was good. That was when, remember, we did a mystery guest, and I like conned Mike Chase and David Priest and to become the Three Wise Men.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was a good episode. Three Wise Men.
Oh, by the way, to everybody who's asking or thinking about asking, I just haven't been posting the podcast versions the last few days because I've been on the road. I'm not stopping.
Okay, good.
I'm just going to give a poll update. We currently have 61.9% of the audience saying absolutely. Oh, just shifted. It went more to our absolutely for another Munch 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 Week. We have 8.7% saying no way, and then 25% saying depends on what you're making.
Yeah, so I just want to say Munch 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 Week there is a silent majority in favor of Munch 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 Week. It's a sort of vocal, you know, it's like a vocal minority that objects to it. But, you know.
Yeah. I mean, then I really loved the episode with Sarah Longwell and the undecided voter with Scott.
Yes.
Well, I do think that was one of the high points of the show.
Yeah. Was
having Sarah Longwell do a focus group with Scott as fake undecided voter.
Anything that has Sarah Longwell doing a focus group with Scott, I am a huge fan of.
It was really fun. We should find another area for her to focus group Scott. Like, it should just be like
a regular thing.
Yeah, just like something really. Oh wait, we forgot the Morel episode. There was the Morel episode.
There are actually a few Morel episodes. There's the original. There's the original Morel episode with Scott and David Goloff. There's the you and Scott go Morelling episode, and then there's the I go Morelling episode.
Oh my god. I'll never forget like being in the restaurant and like holding up like kind of fascinated, like the fake morale that was bursting with ants. They're just like everywhere. And we just discovered this. Like we did not know this. We've been carrying it around in the bag.
It was
Scott was
awesome.
like, "Don't touch that," and just like smacked it out of my hand. It was so funny.
And
it was like, no.
And then, while we're on the subject of insects, I mean, there is the great bee episode, which is still one of my 3 or 4 favorite episodes of the show.
Oh yeah, with Jeff and he's like giving away his hives now. He has too many.
Oh wow.
Really? Does he want to send one to me?
No, they're really hard to transport across state lines, as you heard about.
Well, much less from coast to coast. But I was so interested in that, even though I have actually allergic to bee stings. I don't think I'd be a very good beekeeper. But I think we should bring him back with a beehive. I think it's been too long since we've had a live swarm of bees on the show.
Cicadas, as Dr. Reverend Hillary Livingston points out. We had a whole thing about being obsessed with cicadas. That was pretty awesome, to be fair. There were like, did I tell you about this, Ben? That we got like cicadas in New York, but there were like 2? Like I saw like 2 or 3.
Well,
the birds were fighting over them.
Yeah, they don't usually come through that much. I mean, they don't usually come that far north. There used to be a swarm on Long Island, but it's I think it's mostly extinct now.
Yeah. Someone brings up the corvid. We did have like a whole corvid thing with Carl Bergstrom and then Kaylee Swift.
Kaylee Swift. More
awesome.
COVIDs, less COVID.
Yeah.
A slogan that someday will catch on.
Yeah. I mean, I don't actually remember ever seeing... I remember seeing the shells of cicadas growing up, like very like regularly, and hearing them. But I don't remember seeing them as I kind of saw them this summer, and like you sent me pictures of. So maybe it's like a different type of cicada or like locust.
I mean, the 17-year cicadas don't swarm as far north as you are. It's really, I mean, there's a big swarm in Indiana, but if you look at the map of it, it's concentrated. Like, I think you kind of have to get down into Pennsylvania and Delaware before they're really endemic. By the way, I, for the first time, had a roadblock today, and a demand for my vaccine passport as a condition of passage. Yes, to enter the Pine Ridge Lakota Reservation. They have a roadblock, and they demanded my vaccine passport, and I showed it to them, and they let me on the reservation, which I thought was great, and I think we should put up roadblocks all over the country and demand people's proof of vaccination. That has nothing whatsoever to do with cicadas. It just suddenly came to mind that somebody demanded my vaccine proof of vaccination today, and I was thrilled.
Did you just give them your vaccine card, or was there like a proxy medium?
No, he wanted to see my CDC vaccination card, and they literally had a roadblock and were stopping every car. And you know, and when I left the reservation on a different road, and there was a roadblock on that road too, they seemed to just be sealing off the reservation. And a Lakota friend of mine told me that was going to happen. She says they've been doing it for months.
Oh wow.
And so I think before the vaccine, they just weren't letting non-tribes members on at all, I think. But it was super different from, you know, walking around DC.
Yeah. I mean, I have to be totally honest. Like the vaccine CDC cards do not seem to be the height of like really
Security.
yeah, security or like any type of like unreplicable like kind of like standard at all. But I guess
They're
like
they're very forgeable,
yeah,
but how many people are going to forge one in order to get on
yes, yes.
the Lakota reservation?
Right. I mean, the thing that like you suggest though of like kind of making them ubiquitous everywhere and having everyone check them is that they become very valuable to go
No.
anywhere.
If you were going to do that, you would say want the CDC to issue something that was a little bit harder to replicate, and maybe even create an app that when you get a vaccine, they give you a number and you put it in and a password, and then you can show proof of vaccination with your app and transmit it to somebody. Just a thought.
Isn't that what New York's doing? I think on the 13th,
Yeah.
the Excelsior Pass or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like exactly what they're doing. But I do think that there's kind of like I do think that there's I don't know. I just think that they had a choice at like the beginning was like some type of really stringent like ID checking on the front end of giving people vaccines and creating a database of people who had received vaccines that were matched with like kind of very stringent like ID checking systems that already were in place, or vaccinate people as quickly as possible and don't put those like kind of difficulties in place. And they made a choice to, which I think is the correct choice, to not like kind of create those frictions to like even get people vaccinated. And well, this is kind of the other side of it.
I think it's going to be really interesting, especially since the Pfizer vaccine got approved yesterday with the FDA, which was really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, the gentleman who examined my pass was excited that I had the Pfizer vaccine because he did too.
Oh, really?
He gave me the thumbs up about Pfizer and told me the FDA had approved it yesterday, which was the first time I'd heard that because I've been assiduously not reading the news. And so I was, it was a rah-rah Pfizer.
Yeah. I mean, wait, did I hear something that they named it something weird? Did they name?
I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't get past the approval. I was too busy dancing.
Yeah.
I assume that all the people who've been saying they were, not getting vaccinated because it wasn't FDA approved, heard the news and went out and got vaccinated yesterday, and there were like 10 million people got the Pfizer vaccination yesterday, right? Isn't that what happened?
That's how it works. Yes.
Or moving some goalposts around.
Yeah, well, those goalposts are heavy.
So like one of the things that I've been like, I made this joke when I was teaching this in like my eminent domain class, but like there is an eminent domain case, like probably the most kind of like consequential eminent domain case in the Supreme Court right now, that like whose precedent is like, it was Kelo versus, well, United States, but there's kind of like this idea, well, it's not kind of like this idea, it was New London like basically creating an incentive to allow Pfizer to create a huge center in New London because it was supposed to boost the failing economic structure of New London, Connecticut. And they used, and the state of New London, or the city of New London, the state of Connecticut used eminent domain to condemn all of these areas. And usually when I teach this, well, for the past couple of years, I'm like, Pfizer is such like an obvious kind of like enemy of the people. It's like this massive like it was like this massive pharmaceutical company. Like this is such a problem, and they contribute to the opioid pandemic, and there's like all of these problems. And teaching it this year was completely absurd because I was like, oh my God, Pfizer is not is like no one was actually like, it was a genuine kind of like, oh well, maybe we like Pfizer does good, and maybe Pfizer makes things that people should, that are for the public good, and maybe that is a good reason to. So anyways, it was just kind of an interesting
That's a really big shift from our class when we did it.
I know.
That's amazing.
I know, but it's like really funny because you can't make fun of Pfizer. Like it was like a very easy kind of like huge kind of conglomerate pharmaceutical company. And I actually kind of, you know, I like the kind of the complication of it. It makes it more interesting to teach.
Well, should we go to the audience for suggestions for our 500th show?
Yeah, totally.
So if you have suggestions for the show, flag them, flag that you want to make them. They can be real serious, or neither.
We do have some general questions. Do we want to go to those while we're waiting for flagged suggestions?
Sure.
Okay. Let's see if I did this right.
Obviously, the person who does the best impersonation of a saber-toothed anchovy.
Oh my
All right,
gosh.
Paula, let's
I
see
wanna
your
hear-
imitation of a saber-toothed anchovy.
Paula, tell us about 1L. How's it going?
Have you started classes yet?
No, I'm in orientation.
How is it?
Are you oriented or disoriented?
Disoriented. Haven't you heard about our pants debacle?
I have not heard anything about pants.
Oh,
Do you
okay.
want the like sugar coated version or like the?
No. Lay it on us.
No, we want the whole.
Yeah,
So
the
besides
real
the
story.
debacle, I'm actually surprised. I thought I would be like super intimidated, and then I got there and everyone is human like me. So that was like felt like great.
If you
to
cut
not-
them, they bleed.
Honestly, I'm surprised for someone like myself who is was super COVID cautious. And what I mean by that is like barely left the house, but also because I was a student and like was studying for the LSAT and doing applications. So like there was no need to leave the house. So I'm vaccinated, masked, and quite frankly, with the mask mandate and the vaccine mandate, this is maybe pessimistic. I don't know how long I can how long this is sustainable. Like having a vaccine mandate with the mask mandate, like for me, just being in like a classroom with a mask on for that long, it's so difficult. And like I feel like I did not feel the pandemic for so long because I was at home doing Zoom university, you know, Instacarting groceries and studying. And now when Kate told me about I say me, when I saw on YouTube before I like outed myself, Kate's experiences with like Zoom or not Zoom teaching in person and like everyone's like, you know, experiences, I totally get it now. And I'm someone who's super COVID cautious, but like it's so taxing. And I don't know if I have 2 classes or 3 classes a day, but it seems quite, I don't know if unsustainable is the right word. I don't know if it was Kate, you know her last name. She teaches at MIT and she came on the show. She talked about robots. I totally like blanking.
Darling?
Wait, Grok?
Yes.
So
Kate Darling,
sorry,
yes.
Kate
And I think she
Darling,
mentioned that even at MIT, they have breakthrough cases with the masking mandate and a vaccine mandate, if I'm correct. And Stanford is currently requiring testing for vaccinated people as well. So that was a long, very pessimistic thing. But that is honestly,
What does it have to do with pants?
Oh, she
so
spilled iced coffee on herself.
So in the first 10 minutes of orientation, I spilled coffee on one of the registration tables. And then about 2 hours later, I spilled my water all over the back of my pants. And so that was my experience on the first day.
Oh, so wait a minute. Let's process this. What did you destroy on the registration table with the coffee?
Nothing. It was
So you-
next. It was a registration table next to the main one. So it's just like
Oh,
everyone.
so you don't get any points for that?
No,
Like,
I don't get any points.
unless you took out the registration list so that the University of Michigan couldn't start the first year because it couldn't tell who its students were because they
Yes.
were washed away by coffee. You don't get any points for that.
No, there's no like redeemable points or something like that.
And water
with.
is like, is like a less bad version of pee. So
Yes.
it's just like
You really, I mean, this is really unimpressive for the first day, Paula.
know, like-
And frankly, Paula, if you're gonna do a spill, better the first day than the last day when it's all on your notes.
yeah. Oh, she speaks truth. That's true.
I
I
did
do
that.
have battle scars though, because I had to sprint to my apartment and back, and my shoes are new. And I got back, and like my white shoes have like kind of blood all over the inside from my ankle, just like tearing all over them. So
Don't
That's
it's going
like-
well.
You're already have spilled blood for your 1L year. That's more than most people. So I think that you're fine.
But that was my take. I was shocked at how much it felt normal, which I guess makes sense given I just graduated like 4 months ago.
yeah.
I
mean,
think
like,
you gotta. I think first of all, next time you're gonna mess up an orientation table. Bleeding
Where all
from,
the things are.
no, bleeding from like Kate doing the cut yourself with a knife, and I mean that's really more where you want to go. You want to. It should be the result of injury, not maybe break the cup, but like cut yourself on the cup. I think that this is the kind of improvements that we're
dedication,
looking
Paula.
for.
I also feel like this is a good starting point for your Where's the Lie show contribution in the future, but I
Oh.
don't think we're there yet.
Gotcha.
I
I mean,
That's
will-
right. It's a totally believable story, Paula.
the good thing is that it can only go up from here, right? Like, it can only go up.
Well, separately, like, can we talk about like your actual observations about like what this year is going to be like? Because I feel, I mean, I've had a couple of friends get breakthrough cases at this point, and I'm just really concerned mostly about people with young kids that are going to have to teach.
I
And,
will.
like, Yeah.
I'll tell you. So, when the first case hit Michigan, I did not go to class that day. The next morning, and I called my school and I asked them what are protocols, and the administration lady like laughed at me. And she was like asking me basically like kind of like mocking if I was scared or something. And I was like, okay. She was just like, just talk to your professors to see if what they want to do, which I think was kind of shocking given I thought there would be like a school policy. And within 5 hours, almost all Michigan universities closed. And I had a friend reach out to me and say, I can't wait to go back in 2 weeks. And I told her, I probably think that we won't go back until after we're graduated. And she was shocked. That was my one right call. I think now, if like I have a good batting average on this, everything goes back online quite quickly.
Ugh. I mean, personally, like actually, Annette Gordon-Reed said something really interesting the other day, which is like, well, I got used to just teaching online. I got used to it and it got better. And like, I got better at it. And like, one of the things that I really thought was incredibly hard for me with the way that St. John's had personally, like, they had done it was just like, personally, like, I found it very hard to go back and forth between teaching and planning and teaching like a class for teaching in front of my computer, and that amount of energy that I had to muster in that exact way, and how I would cue things up and how everything would kind of come together versus doing it in person on like a PowerPoint, which I was like used to doing. Like, you could like fall back on that. I kind of knew how to do that, but it was just like two totally different systems of like learning. And there were students that hated learning online. And this is the biggest thing, is they care about like really what the students think. And there were students that like hated learning online, and there were students that loved it. And so
I will like admit, like to the people, I am biased. I loved learning online, and I felt like my resume before applying to law school was like so empty, and I was like kind of embarrassed. And I got to study for the LSAT and be a volunteer on multiple campaigns all at the same time. And I think that wouldn't have happened, right? Like I couldn't have driven to like whatever building they had set up, you know, the volunteer stations. Like it's just like your day doesn't mold as well when you have to drive places. Like it just even the driving itself. And I also had like classes of like 20 people, so very different than like a full, you know, 80 person to 100 person classroom.
Yeah, totally.
But just think about it this way. Let's reframe it for a second, though, Paula, because you were so resilient in that situation and you were able to make it work for you. I'm sure that being in person, while it will be difficult at first, you'll be able to make that work for you as well.
Yes, I'll figure it out. I think honestly, like, I think my mom like mentioned it to me. She was like, I think you aren't going through the same pandemic most people were, because if you were someone like me, like where you had like an LSAT to study for, you weren't leaving your bedroom much anyways. I wasn't seeing daylight most of the time anyways. So I mean, it wasn't until I had winter break that I was like, wow, it's boring. So yeah.
That's fair. Okay.
Yeah.
And then did you want to ask your question about the public opinion?
Sure.
Okay.
So my question, and this is based on what's coming out of Afghanistan, I've seen some people talk about public opinion and whether or not that should be a driving force in the withdrawal. And I'm wondering, what is the role of public opinion? And I want to separate that from people who like have like that meme kind of slogan of we're like a republic, not a democracy, because I think that's kind of something else. But I mean, I think it's important to consider whether or not the public is educated on foreign policy issues. And now that we've seen polling on things like January 6th and like vaccine conspiracies, when we have part of the public thinking that, you know, insurrections are totally okay and patriotic, how do we weight public opinion? I'm not saying like throw it out the window, and I'm not saying that it should be everything, but I think it needs to be examined a bit more than something that's just thrown out on cable news or on Twitter.
Oh, sorry, Paula.
So I think the answer, there's no simple answer to that question, but let me give you a unsatisfying, somewhat nuanced answer. You can't ignore public opinion. And the reason you can't ignore it is that public opinion is a surrogate for potential voting behavior. Now, the public can oppose lots of things. If those things are not things they're going to vote on the basis of, you can kind of take the position, so what? But on the fundamental issues that people are going to vote on, like COVID, the economy, and general foreign policy stability, you can't really ignore public opinion. Now, what that does not mean is that you put your finger in the wind and do whatever is momentarily popular in the polls. And you can't do that either, because particularly on complex policy issues, the public actually hasn't thought about them deeply enough that the sort of yes or no questions that you get on polls are likely to be very availing. And so what I would say is you should always be aware of public opinion. But at the end of the day, as president, at least, you are not a representative, you're an elected executive. And the public did not vote for Joe Biden because of specific views on Afghanistan. He didn't make particularly detailed promises about Afghanistan. And so I think the answer has to be you do what you think is right with an eye on public opinion. And that has to be the answer. But it is too simplistic to say either that it plays no role or it plays a dominant role.
David, I'm pulling you up again. I'm sorry I Aliced you. David, the floor is yours.
Well,
Hi, David.
Good afternoon, and I would like to first of all thank Kate Klonick for observing Just Us Cheese Night in the righteous way of observation.
I mean, I would observe Cheese Night properly, but there's no supermarket around here.
I did have cheese, I promise, but I already ate it.
I don't believe that.
Sort of like the dog ate my homework.
David H. just had a brilliant idea, which is that Alice should be brought on the screen and left here for the entire 500th episode. And I am going to suggest that to her.
That would be pretty painful. So I have 3 topics to address, if I might, if the gracious Genevieve will allow
Sounds good.
So for the 500th, I humbly recommend to not make it one episode, but why not a 500th episode week? This would
So
be
do you mean that we can have an entire show on saber-tooth anchovies?
No, it's the entire show on Alice being left up.
I don't think that's what I said, but I do,
because I totally support that idea.
Okay, I'll talk to Kate and Genevieve now. No, but I think the celebration is significant enough that much like Munch, it can last a week. I mean, it's momentous. 500, and how special to have to celebrate 500 days across 5 days.
500 chances for someone not to give me tenure. It's going to be amazing.
What could go wrong?
In fact, we should study the 500 episodes for the 500 least appropriate Kate Klonick moments and just make the tenure committee aware of all of them.
That's so great. Thanks, Ben.
Do you have a procedural suggestion for this, though, David? Because, I mean, how would you want this to work?
So I think that the chorus has put forth quite a significant list of things and people and personalities, but I think the thing to do would to just deem next week 500th episode week and bring on the audience favorites from Sarah to Ada to Mike Chase to Tim, to bring on the beekeeper person and the crow guy from was he from Washington or Oregon?
Yeah.
Okay,
so,
this is. Do you guys agree with this? I think this is a great idea.
Yeah, this is
and
great.
So here's what we need somebody to do. We need
a Twitter poll?
a Twitter poll or a Google poll somehow of people's like favorite guests, and we want to see who people really
do this a little under the radar because it would be maybe insulting to people.
Maybe we should do it in the Discord channel. The gods of the Discord channel should figure out everybody's welcome there, right? Right, David?
Sure. Yep.
Yeah.
And so people who want to figure out who the people are, who should be back for other than the saber-tooth anchovy, who should be back for the 500th episode week. And you guys report back to us, and we'll try to get them.
Yeah.
Okay.
It also would resolve our numbering issue, because if all 5 days are the 500th celebrating all 500, we'd be at 500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 501.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be cheese. All right, so that was 2 things, David, right? Or did I miscount?
Well,
I
no,
liked your third question.
Well, so Kate was a freebie because she's observing the night properly with cheese. So that one was free. We talked about 500. The next one, I was going to sort of throw down a statement and say cheddar cheese is the best. Ooh. And have arguments, but
wait. I just want to clarify what you mean by that. Do you mean that cheddar cheese is the best cheese,
yes,
or that cheddar cheese is the best simple type of cheese, like core cheese? I mean,
wow.
Surely,
wow.
like
simple.
What
really?
do you mean? What do you mean by it? What's the core proposition here?
So I think that cheddar sort of to a large degree embodies the beauty of cheese. And you can get different cheddars. You can get just your basic cheddar, but you can get a sharp cheddar that is it's almost painful. It's
borderline Parmesan.
Yeah, but I'm still having trouble with what you say, that it most fully embodies the concept of cheese, or are you saying that it's actually better than other cheese or better than other food, or are you saying that you're just trying to be combative and pick a fight with people? Like, what is it that you're really trying to communicate here?
No, that's a fair question. I would say that cheddar is both the common person's cheese and can represent that which in cheese people can admire. So as a type, I would hold up cheddar as representing cheese.
The most electable cheese.
Yeah. A populist cheese, if you will.
I want to say that until Wisconsin stops outrageously gerrymandering its districts, I'm not going with cheddar.
Wait, really?
I mean, I like Wisconsin. It's a nice state, but I don't think we need to give it the, the sort of the cheese gold star, while most cheese cheddar that people eat is from Wisconsin, and I think we should just withhold validation. Besides, the people of France have like 350 kinds of cheese, and I'm really partial to a lot of those cheeses.
I really thought you were going to talk about Henry.
Also, Himalayan yak cheese is really good.
Ooh.
Okay.
That's not a joke.
How do you get your hands on that, though?
Yeah, exactly.
What's that?
It's not a populist cheese.
How do you get your hands on that?
By having friends from Nepal who bring it for
exactly.
you.
Okay.
When I was a small, when we had a friend from Nepal who lived in our basement for a while, and she tried to convince my then one of my now adult but then children told her that the yak was a mythical beast, and Sarabi tried to persuade my kid that the yak was a real animal and that she had grown up eating yak cheese and drinking yak milk, and my kid was completely convinced this was Sarabi was trying to put one over on her. So Sarabi brought back from Nepal a giant hunk of yak's cheese.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. I thought you were going to say something about the ennui of Delta, and I was going to say that I am definitely feeling that.
So yeah, my last statement is I and I'm sure I'm not alone, and my life is not hard. I privilege and white and all this kind of stuff, but I'll tell you what, Delta is really bringing on a real sense of ennui to me, because it's like, I thought we're over this, but we're not over this. We might be done with Delta.
Yeah.
We might be done with COVID, but COVID is not done with us. And any pro tips would be much appreciated. But I continue to appreciate all of you, even Scott, who's boycotting tonight.
That's boycotting to you.
But
Nice.
no, I when I saw you say that, that was the first time that I've heard someone say that from kind of my friend group or my community, and I was like, oh yeah, maybe that's why. As I was just telling Genevieve, before Ben, before we kind of went public, I was like, I just have been sleeping so much. I've been really kind of in the dumps, and I don't know what's happening, and if I had to be teaching, I'd be off teaching, but I haven't had to, and so I've just been ugh, I just feel awful.
I totally have a great suggestion, which has been working brilliantly for me. Amtrak, the little compartments, very, very low COVID risk. It's a very pleasant way to travel. And U.S. national parks. One thing we have not done a show on is we've talked about the U.S. Postal Service, but the U.S. National Park Service, can I just say, is freaking awesome. And right in back of me, we got this, you can't really see it, but we've got this incredible national park. And I feel pretty good, actually. I've spent the last week and a half trekking around doing things and been really COVID cautious along the way. I've been carrying some COVID tests with me, but visiting friends and going to national parks and traveling by train. And I have to say, it has really improved my mood. So that is my
but no offense, Ben, but I think that's kind of getting out and doing stuff is improves your mood. I felt the same way 3 weeks ago. When I was in Montana and doing stuff, it felt much better. But I don't know, it's kind of hard when you are sitting in your house and you're trying to choose between going outside your house or staying inside, and all of the Delta stuff is happening. Although sorry, but you are right, there is, but this is kind of
harder in densely populated parts of the country, which is why I left my densely populated part of the country for a couple of weeks and went to less densely populated part of the country. So that's my suggestion.
Thank you. I appreciate all of you, and I appreciate the Greek chorus very much. So thank you, Greek chorus.
Thank you, David.
Thanks.
Okay, and then we have Daniel. Hi, Daniel. The floor is yours.
He is fully in his native habitat today. You cannot discern the color of the shirt. It seems to be black, but it probably isn't. And he's backlit. So I just want to say, welcome back, Daniel Burge. We've missed you.
So I think I can credibly promise to be brief. My suggestion
Can
for
always credibly promise to be brief.
My 500th episode suggestion is Scott as a undecided person as to whether to get a vaccine, interviewed by Sarah Longwell. And credit to Paula for first making this suggestion in the chat.
Excellent idea.
Yeah, I totally.
I don't think Scott is undecided on the vaccine, however.
No. You can play one on TV.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be amazing. We can definitely see if that can be a thing that will happen. But yeah, I mean, like, I miss Scott. I'm sad he's not here, but I am excited for him bringing his kid to college. And yeah, we'll text him right now and see if he would be up for doing that with Sarah.
And so we are going to leave it there, but after the Greek chorus makes its decision in its secret Discord chamber, tweet at us. David Botts, I'm assigning you the duty of tweeting at us the Greek chorus's collective wisdom about who should be on the show for the 500th anniversary celebrations. And we will then reach out to those people and dragoon them onto the show. I am also working on trying to get Derek Delgadio to join the show, though that will probably not be in 500th anniversary week.
Cool. That sounds awesome.
John raises something quickly in the chat. Do we have a deadline that we'd like them to respond by?
At the end of, I guess, by Saturday night, I guess.
If you could do Friday night, it's better, because then we have the weekend, and we have the weekend to get at least the first couple pieces in place.
Yep, that's true. Yep.
All right, everyone. We will see you on Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern. I will not do that math because I will embarrass myself.
Wait, I can do it on the spot. I believe that is 95 hours.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then Monday. So
yeah.
six.
So it's 6 times 24. Oh yeah, that's totally wrong. Yeah, so it's 6 times 24 minus 1 hour from now.
120 time, or 120. No.
And yes, I am not in Central Time. I am in Mountain Time, Len Grossman. So, but that does not affect yes. It is 143 hours from now, no matter what time zone I am in, because In Lieu of Fun takes place in the Eastern Time Zone, but really in our hearts in Universal Time. So 143 hours from now. And 53 minutes. And until then, Kate?
We don't have fun anymore, but we do have the 499th episode of In Lieu of Fun.
Under our fucking belts.
Bye, everyone.
I'm wearing a belt.